Yes, but are you good enough for it?
I'm afraid I'm not that, which is why I want you to reform me, and you might make it your mission if you would.
I'm afraid I've no time this afternoon.
Well, would you mind me reforming myself this afternoon?
It's rather quixotic of you, but I think you should try.
I will. In fact, I feel better already.
You are looking a little worse.
That is because I'm hungry.
How thoughtless of me. I should have remembered that when one is going to lead an entirely new life, one requires regular and wholesome meals. Won't you come in?
Might I have a buttonhole first?
A
I
min-
never have quite an appetite till I've had a buttonhole.
Yes, have a marrow now?
I'd sooner have a pink rose.
Why?
Because you are like a pink rose, Cecily.
I don't think it's right for you to talk to me like that. Miss Prism never says such things to me.
Miss Prism is a short-sighted old lady. You are the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Miss Prism says all good looks are a snare.
Snare any sensible man would like to be caught in.
Oh, I don't think I should care to catch a sensible man. I should know what to talk to him about.
You have much to learn, dear doctor. You should get married. A misanthrope I can understand. A womanthrope, never.
I do not deserve so neologistic a phrase. The practice as well as the precept of the primitive church is distinctly against matrimony.
And that is obviously the reason why the primitive church has not lasted up to the present day. You do not seem to realize, dear doctor, that by persistently remaining single, a man converts himself into a permanent public temptation. Men should be more careful. It is this very celibacy that leads weaker vessels astray.
But is a man not equally attractive when married?
No man is ever attractive, except his wife.
And often I've been told, not even to her.
That depends on the intellectual sympathies of the woman. Maturity can always be depended on. Ripeness can be trusted. Young women are green. I spoke horticulturally, of course. My metaphor was drawn from the fruits. Where is Cecily?
Perhaps she followed us to the schools.
Mr. Worthing!
Mr. Worthing?
This is indeed a surprise. We did not expect you back till Monday afternoon.
I have returned sooner than expected. Dr. Chasuble, I hope you are well.
Mr. Worthing, I hope this garb of woe does not betoken some horrible calamity.
My brother!
More shameful debts and extravagance.
Still leading his life of pleasure?
Dead!
Your brother Ernest dead?
Quite dead.
What a lesson for him. I trust he will profit by it.
Mr. Worthing, I offer you my sincere condolence. You have at least the consolation of knowing you were the most generous and forgiving of brothers.
Poor Ernest. He had many faults, but it is a sad, sad blow.
Very sad indeed. Were you with him at the end?
No, he died abroad in Paris. I received a telegram this morning from the manager of the Grand Hotel.
Was the cause of death mentioned?
A severe chill, it seems.
As a man sows, so let him reap.
Charity, Miss Prism, charity. None of us are perfect. I myself am peculiarly susceptible to drafts. Will the interment take place here?
No, he expressed the desire to be buried in Paris.
Paris? I hardly feel that points to any very serious state at the last. You would no doubt wish for me to make some sort of allusion to this tragic domestic affliction next Sunday. My sermon on the meaning of the manna in the wilderness can be applied to almost any occasion. Joyous, or in this present case, distressing. I preached it for several christenings, confirmations, on days of humiliation, and festal days. The last time I delivered it was in the cathedral as a charity sermon for the Society of Discontent among the upper orders. The bishop that was present was quite drawn from the analogies I drew.
You mentioned christening, right, Dr. Chasuble? I mean, you know how to christen, all right. I mean, you're constantly christening, aren't you?
It is, I regret to say, one of the rector's most constant duties in the parish. I've often spoken to the poor classes on the subject, but they don't seem to know what thrift is.
But is there any particular infant in whom you were interested, Mr. Worthing? Your brother was unmarried, was he not?
Oh, yes.
Most people who live entirely for pleasure usually are.
But it is not for any baby. No, I'm very fond of children. Actually, I would like to be christened this afternoon if you have nothing better to do.
But surely, Mr. Worthing, you've been christened already.
I don't remember anything about it.
Well, have you any grave grave doubts on the subject?
I certainly intend to have. Of course, if you have any problem with it, or you don't have time or something.
Oh, not at all. The sprinkling, as well as the immersion of adults, is perfect canonical practice.
Immersion?
You need not have any apprehensions. Sprinkling is all that is necessary, or indeed I think is advisable. Our weather is so changeable. At what hour do you wish the ceremony performed?
Oh, I might trot round about 5.
Perfectly, perfectly. Indeed, I had 2 similar ceremonies to perform at that time. A case of twins that occurred on the outlying cottages of your own estates. Poor Jenkins the carter, a most hard-working man.
I don't think it'd be very much fun being baptized along with other babies. It might seem childish. How about 5:30?
Admirably, admirably. And now, Mr. Worthing, I will no longer intrude into a house of sorrow. I only beg that you be not too much bowed down by grief. What seem to us as bitter trials are often blessings in disguise.
This seems to me a blessing in the most obvious kind.
Uncle Jack, I'm pleased to see you back. But what horrible clothes you've got on. Do go and change them. Cecily!
My child!
What is the matter, Uncle Jack? You look as if you had a toothache, and I've got such a surprise for you. Who do you think is in the dining room? Your brother!
Who?
Your brother Ernest. He arrived about half an hour ago.
That's ridiculous. I haven't got a brother, Ernest.
Oh, Uncle Jack, do be nice. However badly he may have treated you in the past, he is still your brother. I'll tell him to come out. You'll shake hands with him, won't you, Uncle Jack?
Well, these are very joyous tidings.
Last, when we had all been... Last, when we had all been excited by his sudden loss, his sudden return seems to me peculiarly stressing.
My brother, Ernest, is in the dining room. I don't know what this all means. I think it is perfectly absurd. Good heavens!
Brother John, I have come down from town to tell you that I am very sorry for all the trouble that I've given you, and that I intend to lead a better life in the future.
Uncle Jack, you're not going to refuse your own brother's hand.
Nothing will induce me to take his hand. I think his presence here perfectly disgraceful. He knows absolutely well why.
Uncle Jack, do be nice. There's some good in everyone. Ernest here has just been telling me about his poor invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, whom he goes to visit so often. And certainly there is some good in one who is kind to an invalid and leaves the pleasures of London to sit by a bed of pain.
Bunbury? He's been talking about Bunbury, has he?
Yes, he's told me all about poor Mr. Bunbury and his terrible state of health.
Well, I won't have him talk to you about Bunbury or anything else. It is enough to drive one perfectly frantic.
Of course, I admit that the faults were all on my side, but I must say that I find Brother John's coldness to me especially painful, considering this is the first time I've come here.
Uncle Jack, if you don't shake Ernest's hand, I will never forgive you.
Never forgive me.
Never, never, never.
Well, this shall be the last time I ever do it.
Have you ever seen a more perfect reconciliation? I think we ought to leave the 2 brothers alone.
Cecily, you will come with us.
Certainly, Miss Prism, my little task of reconciliation is over.
You've done a beautiful thing today, child.
Let us not be premature in our judgments.
I feel very happy.
Algernon, you young scoundrel, what are you doing here? I don't allow any Bunbury here.
That's absurd. What are you talking about? Hello.
I have put Mr. Ernest's things in the room next to yours, sir. I suppose that is all right?
What?
Mr. Ernest's luggage, sir. I have unpacked it and put it in the room next to your own.
His luggage?
Yes, sir. 3 portmanteaus, a dressing case, 2 hat boxes, and a large luncheon basket.
I am afraid I can't stay more than a week this time.
Merriman called the dog cart. Mr. Ernest has been suddenly called back to town.
Yes, sir.
What a fearful liar you are, Jack. I have not been called back to town.
Yes, you have.
I haven't heard anyone call me.
Your duty as a gentleman calls you back.
My duty as a gentleman has never interfered with my pleasure in the smallest degree.
I can quite understand that.
Well, Cecily is a darling.
Don't talk about Miss Cardew that way. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes. Go and change them.